Right. Look at the look. You see, standing in the middle of the damn block. When I talk about how they mask their targeting, it's what they do. You know, as I was coming out of the building, there was an ambulance that passed by, flashing its lights and you know, had its sirens on. You know, like I said, they will always find ways. And once you expose them, right, they'll always continue to target you. Look. Now what I'm gonna do? Na. Hey, goodbye. Na. Hey, goodbye. Now you guys should understand why I did that, right? You see her waving? She wasn't waving to anybody, right? And that's why the dude was standing in the middle of the damn sidewalk, waiting, you know? When I talk about the surveillance, you know, illegal surveillance, knowing that I'm getting ready to leave, remember, this stuff is, the way how they do it is to try to make it look natural. So what were they unloading? Right? Bottle of water. Again, look at the symbolism when I talk about these things and how they target me. And what it is that they do and how they do it. And the manner in which they do it. Because they really think they're doing something, right? They used to be doing something, but not anymore. Right? When you figure out what it is that they do, how they do it, you begin to understand. Alright, so if you look and see what they're doing, looking down at their shoes, right? Let's see what's part of it. Oh yeah, spam. Yeah, also when they start targeting me. Yep, spam call. Right? You know what I'm saying? See, I'm talking about that phone call after they engage in targeting me. Now look at the license plate of the vehicle right here. 22732. Number 32. Again, not a coincidence. And you see the look comes out of the vehicle, right? So he is sitting there, and he comes out of the vehicle. Look at the hand signal. Look at the hand signal. So you know he gets the middle finger, right? All right. Now he doesn't, you know, look at it right there. Older guy. Look like he has some, you know, cognitive issues. And they will use them. Like I said, the use of the most vulnerable people within the society to engage in targeting. And the reason being is because they don't think that, you know, their crime against me that has disabled me, that has damaged my back severely, that have, you know, isolated me. They have isolated me, not through my own doing, but because of what they do. Right? So it is appeared to make it look like I'm self-isolating when I'm not. It is because they are engaging in psychological warfare, cognitive warfare, right? Weaponization of the electromagnetic spectrum, right? Microwave radio frequencies weaponized for mind control. Sound, weaponized sound, weaponization of color to affect your thought and your emotions extremely in a negative way. Right? Covert drugging, poisoning, and so forth. And I always say, go look at the Darren Brown show, particularly a show that's called. Actually, there's three episodes that you guys should look at. episode called Game Show. Another episode, I forget what his name, but it talks about how religious leaders understand and they're trained in how to manipulate your brain, right? How they engage in what is called brain entrainment to manipulate you. And then the third is called the assassin, right? So can you program someone to carry an assassination, right? And all these things they've realized that they can do. All right, and so, you know, I would say when they have not. I don't think that Darren Brown has a show anymore. Whenever you start revealing these things, they will shut you down. You know, the amount of channels that they remove off of YouTube for people speaking the truth. And I'll show you guys how they censor me, right? Just for sharing a news story by, even by mainstream media, right? Mainstream American media. CBS, MSN, NBC, right? ABC. I'll show you guys that when I share posts by ABC, that they'll literally remove my post that I shared, right? They remove it. Why? Why? Because it's a deliberate attempt to censor me. So when they're engaging in censorship like that against me, who, again, my channel is shadow banned, right? But they're still doing it. Why? Because when more people drift to my content, or when more people get exposed to my content despite being shadow banned, or when more people send me friend requests, particularly, I've learned how to identify, the so-called bots or fake profile on Facebook, and so whenever I get a friend request and I go through it and look to see and I don't accept it, and I usually keep it now, I'm not deleting it yet because I want to do a video on it and expose them, right? Another white woman again, they like to use that, and the way she's looking at me too, but anyhow, what we don't, I say, black people, my people, I said black people, European people, yeah, they're my people too. How they're so easily manipulated, man, just like I was. And like I said, this is why they don't want us to come into the conscious, awareness. We have to shift as a group our mindset from a believing mindset to a mindset that knows, to a knowing mindset. Right? So, look. Tell you, you're gonna always see these themes, right? These are the homeless theme, as part of coercive persuasion programming, right? Because that's what they do. So you gotta learn to identify these things, right? You gotta learn to identify these things. And I don't say these things without putting things into their proper concept, right? It is these sort of threats, coercive threats. And like I said, and you will basically see this. You see this around me most times than anybody else would. Yeah, right? Because even when I was a TI, this never used to happen so much. Before I was a target individual. Probably I was target, but didn't really pay attention to it. But I do know that, stuff like this was rarely, unless, it was the 1980s then, because the crack epidemic, so you used to see that shit a lot, right? But even early on in my targeting, it used to happen, but not so much. But now you see like almost every single day. You'll see stretches where it's like every single day, right? Because that's what they do. Turn around, he's looking at me. and then he turns around. Nobody wants to see a crack of your ass, man. Look. I see you looking. I'll tell you, look. Right? So now everywhere I go, every block, every destination, you'll see almost every block, number 32, 77132. Right there. Let me see, am I zoomed in? Yes. Okay. So again, this is to show you guys. So let's see if it continues.
Lock the cabinet. Lock the cabinet. Lock the cabinet. Lock the.
Look at the eye movement. Look at the staring. Staring at the homeless guy. Looking at my phone. Get a phone? Yeah, he actually he waits until I get on the bus to ask the bus driver if the bus number went wrong. Of course he does. Like I said, how long has he got on the bus? Well, he didn't just get on the bus. He's been on the bus, right? Yeah. The guy comes out in the shirt with the American flag on the arm pad, on the arm, off the shirt. He's sitting on the sleeve, the arm sleeve. Right? Let's get you out of it. Doesn't stop. You just got to know how to recognize it. Expose it. So, the word rinse back. What does it happen? Tell them all is good. See, that's the thing. They try to do the homeless leave and associate it with the number 32. Right? And then with the word rinse back. Like, yeah, I'm always winning. Right? Because that's why they keep looking at my phone. Right? To try to say, if I just expose them to them, I'll be homeless and they win. No, motherfuckers. Ain't nothing you can do to stop me from. Well, ain't nothing that you're going to try to do. Right? That's going to make me stop exposing what it is that you're all doing. Except if you're assassinating. Right? or you institutionalize me. But that's it. Even then, I still have my videos. And I'm going to make sure that, they're. My videos will still be, my channel will still be up. My videos will still be up. You can pick up my channel. And I'll have someone that can re-upload all my videos. Okay? So there you go. So yeah, it's not going to happen. Sure. It ain't going to happen. It ain't happening. Alright? It ain't happening.
Next stop, Utica Avenue and Winthrop Street.
We are at war. I said we are talking about those of us that have consciousness and awareness of the truth. We are at war against those who are ignorant, who are being manipulated and used to attack us because we know the truth. We know what it is that they do. I was watching a video. There was these brothers, older younger. I subscribe to their channel. I forgot the name of their channel, but they are seekers of knowledge, and they're debating these Christians, right, including a Catholic priest, right? And again, I keep saying, and it also mentioned 32, of course, LCD 3280. LCD 32. I keep telling you. They'll get emboldened. Alright, and what do I say? Go from subtle to straight. Showing all the patterns. Alright? Showing all the patterns. not like that is because they're doing it. I talked about that already,
Please
right?
exit through the rear door.
They all start sniffing like the cowards that they are. Hand sing with hand behind the back. Look, homeless dude, another homeless dude. So I gotta do the same thing too. Cover up their lie, people gonna believe it. Right? People gonna believe their lie. And they're gonna cover it up. Like I said, my purpose is greater than theirs. So they can make me homeless, whatever the hell they want to do, they can do it, but it doesn't change the fact that their lies, they manipulated, they deceived. And I have exposed them, and will continue to expose them. See? So what have I shown you guys? The use of a multi-ethnic group, Hasidic Jews, Europeans, alright, engaging and targeting. Alright, thank you, have a good day. Appreciate it. Alright. And what else? See, blocking theme. She comes and she stands up right there. Why? Right? Why? Just to block me, right? You see? You see what it is that they do? Look, look, look. Hand behind the head. Doing the same thing too. No, thank you. You got the religious theme. Alright? And you see he blowing his horn? It's your light, bro. You know, you got the light. Why are you blowing your horn for? Right? That's the religious theme. They'll always try to get me to take some religious text. You tell them, fuck their religion, fuck their God and their Jesus. He isn't real, never existed. And if you want to know the truth, study your Bible. And when I say study your Bible, meaning that study it in its original language, right? Which is what? All right, current Greek, not Hebrew. But current Greek, right? And the New Testament, what? Latin, right? Latin. So if you want to study the old Bible, virtual theme, you want to study the Old Testament, not the old Bible, the Old Testament, right? Take out your phone, right? Take out your phone. You can download a version of the Bible with the original current Greek and the proper translation into English, right? And as the brother was saying, you know, in the Bible it says in the beginning, not at the beginning, not when the world or the universe was created. It says in the beginning, meaning that there was something else. And you see, a lot of them know that too, because when you bring up the fact that Cain and Abel, and Cain killing Abel, right? And God kicking Cain out of the, I don't even say the garden, but out of the land of where he resided with his parents. He went to the land of Noah and he found a wife. So when you say that to Christians, they'll say, yeah, there were other people on there. But how? Right? You see, that's their default reasoning. But they don't think beyond that. So if there were other people, why didn't the Bible mention them? Right? You know what I'm saying? So they go to that default talking point, but it works against them, because they can expand beyond that. How? If he went to another land and found a wife, if God said to him, when Cain said, as he was leaving, he said, well, whoever it kills me, then I deserve it. Then why did God say, well, no one will touch one strand of hair on your head because he will curse them? Right? You know what I'm saying? Think about that, right? Because if it was just 3 people on the earth, Cain, Abel, Adam and Eve and Cain, because Cain killed Abel, right? But we know that Adam and Eve had other children. So that means that Cain would have to do what? He would have to have sexual relationship with his sister or sisters, right? You know what I'm saying? See, that's the part they don't want to talk about. That's the part they don't want to talk about, right? And then so what do you think will happen if that will happen? What do you think will happen to the descendants of Cain and his wife or whatever, his sister or sisters? What do you think will happen? See, when you look at dogs, it's the reason why you don't breed dogs that are from the same family, right? Because of what happened. When you look at even some of these Hasidic Jews, European Jews, who practice intermarrying within their family, what do you find? You find a high level of genetic diseases, right? Not only that, but you will have genetic deformities, right? Not just physically, but also cognitively and biologically, right? So you cannot do that. So we tend to, like I said, when you're a believer, you tend to overlook science and facts. You tend to want to just read something because you've been taught it from you were young, and you don't question it because they taught you don't question it. But you have to question it. Like I always say, they always talk about, the snake in the garden. There was no snake in the garden. I can tell you guys, go and read the book, The Tempter of Eve. Right? These are white theologians breaking down, even though they were racist still, but breaking down the Bible, right? And they said that it was a black woman, a negress, that gave knowledge to Adam and Eve. Now, why would they do that? Why would they do that? Right? Why would they write a book called The Tempter of Eve and put the black woman as the one who spoke the truth and gave Adam and Eve knowledge? You see, because like I talk about, when they understand the truth, and you go to Kemet, right? It is the woman who had the knowledge. All right? It is the woman who had the knowledge. That's why God had, before the male chauvinistic, narcissistic personality type start to rear its head, right? God or the Creator have always been a woman, because human beings saw life being created in a woman. They saw that life was brought into the world by the woman, particularly the African woman, right? That she was the keeper of knowledge. We got to put it to the department. Right? She was another one. She was the keeper of knowledge. She is the one that gave knowledge to mankind. Right? It's a stark difference.
Oh, this is so cool. Yeah, that's something that'll make them go.
Look, you come with the newspaper. They haven't done that in a while. They got the newspaper. You get the middle finger. I see you looking, buddy. I see you looking. Look, I see you looking. I see you looking. Oh, they're very bold. Look at that. Look at that. Look how bold they are. Me tell you, they give themselves away so much. All right, they literally give themselves away. All right, by doing all of that. Look, she comes out of the restaurant. Look, she's to be pointing the phone at her. Look at her. Hilarious. Look, look. She's taking mighty long with that sign. Yeah, she's taking mighty long with that sign. But you know what that means, right? Oh, we're showing you a sign. You got to be referred to the department out there. Right? Hilarious. Jeez.
Can we transfer to the 6? To the B11, sorry.
Put more of that, let everybody on the bus and then go back and actual bus route for directions. We'll talk about it.
Can you give a transfer, please? You gotta pay again. This
Next stop, Church Avenue and East 42nd Street.
They are important. I can't wait. I can't wait. Also, I see now there's a variety of bus operators there before. You guys notice that too, right? Look at my videos, that's what I'm talking about. Now they have not done the newspaper theme in a while. You know, it's like, oh, we're going to arrest you and you're see all over the newspaper. Hey, go ahead. See, understand how they try to use fear and how they try to engage in these sort of aggressive threats. But like I said, there ain't no fear here because I'm going to take everything from them. Like I said, they qualified immunity one. See a lot of the homeless thing. Again, they're so desperate for the fact that I expose them, continue to expose them. I'm not going to stop doing it. It ain't going to happen. Yeah. He gonna put his hand behind his back, behind his head, and I turned and try to recover, huh? Try to be slick. Look, trying to be slick. See? Tell you how coward they are. They hide behind secrecy. They hide behind psychological manipulation. Right? They hide behind brainwashing. They hide behind their covert warfare.
Next stop, Church Avenue and New York Avenue. Transfer available to be 44.
You see how slick when you're put it to the bottom was, right? As soon as the bus came, get on the bus, they drive by. So I can't even, didn't even get their license plate number.
Please exit through the rear door.
Bunch of cowards. Like I said, if they're so right and correct in what they were doing, why hide it? Right? Because they know that they committed crimes against me, violate my rights, and I'm going to continue to expose them. Simple as that. No matter who they use or who they send, no matter what type of threat they're going to send, I'm going to be exposed all of it. Expands your bubble. Knowledge makes you self-aware. Always make sure we're at the surrounding the people who you interact with. Right? It makes you know what type of personality they have, who they are. Not who you believe they are. Not what you believe they are, but who they are. It's a big difference. See the repeated things? They'll always send these dudes with the hard hats and the vest. What do you call them? Reflective vests. Flashing. And what color lights they're flashing? Red lights. The license plate number. I'll tell you guys in a second. Look. You don't wanna look what he does. look at all that space between the car in front of him. But he's hiding right there on the side. That's right there. There you go.
Please exit through the rear door.
7517.
Next stop, Church
They listen to what I say. Like I said, listen, let me tell you, when I know how to bring them out, because of their ego and that gun on the badge that they have, their ego is way up there more than anybody else, okay? True psychopath sociopaths. True dog triads, not the truth. All within those that are predator law enforcement. And also they're mad. They're mad at me sharing videos on China and other Asian nations that literally are a model of how nations and leaders look out for their people and treat their people living within their nations. You say in the West don't want a good example of democracy. They don't want people to understand that you can have good socialism and good communism. Right? And you can have nations that have a combination. They don't want that because they got us believing lies. Once they can lie to you and you believe it, then they can keep in the condition that most people are in, particularly in America. They can continue to take away our resources, jobs, right? They continue to raise the standard of not raise the standard of living, but they continue to raise the cost of living. It makes it harder for everybody else to survive because they understand what trauma does, what poverty does. So
I don't know. Let them over yours.
Please exit through the rear door.
Yeah. But come on, man. It's like trying to hear something. You don't know the system. You don't know the system yet.
Next stop, Church Avenue and Rogers Avenue. Transfers available to be 44 SBS and B49.
And the only reason why I can't get mine electronic right now is the value of the company. I'm an independent contractor. Other than that, I can get it. Come on, man. Huh? Nah, but I actually get a check. And I get a statement. Years ago, yeah. noticed that. Do they use that thing still?
Yeah.
What are they gonna say?
Sticking his finger in his face.
What are they gonna say? Gonna tell him where he's wrong?
Now the fold of you. Look. See? Right there.
Please exit through
So I'm
the
gonna
rear
explain
door.
to you guys exactly what happened. You see the white woman, like I said, with Pam, setting her ass up. And doing it in a way to, like I said, to damage our relationship. First of all, to break up our relationship and then damage our relationship.
Next stop,
And using
Church
personal
Avenue and
threats
Bedford
on her
Avenue.
also. It's a control
Transfer available to be
scheme,
49.
control mechanism. Right? And this is white people's doing. Because they have always interfered in our lives, whether we want them to or not. Right? When I talk about the sociopathic and psychopathic relationship of white supremacists, even in liberal states, so-called white racist liberals, Malcolm X says, right? Zaza Ali, in her book, the scientific intervention in black people affairs, she documents what white people have been doing, right? In terms of destroying the black mind, the black body, black relationships. Thank you. Have a good day. Right? And our relationship to each other. So when you look at the destruction of the black family, right? When you look at looking at the tires, right? When you look at the destruction of our family, it is done through their interference. Right? It is done through their interference and what it is that they do. And again, the use of religion. Here's the dude right here. Let me stop here for a minute and show you guys. Right? So the reason why he did what he did. So the reason why as he was walking, he looked back at the bus, looking at me and waving. Again, I talk about the memory test, right? They always do this to test my memory. When I talk about my targeting, oh yeah, I am, my brain has been rewired. So yeah, I remember my target. But I always talk about how they do this, right? Now ask me a question of the audiobook I've been listening to for the past 2 weeks. If I remember anything in that audiobook except for the fact that it talks about the technology being used to target us, right? Again, I gotta keep saying it. This is what they do to avoid accountability, right? To use a little, and you know how I know this, because when I went for the test for the disability, they're like, okay, again, I went for this because of my back, right? And they had to give me a mental evaluation. Why? A psychological evaluation. My disability is not based on that. My disability is based on the injury that they've done to my back. Right? When they took the x-ray, I gave them everything, right? And it showed that my back was severely damaged. Right? So why did they give me a psychological evaluation? Why? So they can hamstring you, right? So they can use that. Okay, so yeah. Right? When I begin to question and understand what it is that they were doing, again, it is because I realized this is what they do to us. So when black people are injured, doesn't matter what the injury is, particularly if you're on disability because of a physical injury, right? They give you a psychological evaluation. Why? That doesn't make any sense. All right. So yeah, when you, like I said, that's why I said they use psychiatry. They've always, even when the American Psychological Association apologized, it was a half-ass apology because they're still using it. The American Psychological Association still weaponize psychiatry and psychology against black people, right? So, you know what I'm saying? So their psychological threats that they do, don't faze me. Their threats of, you know, assassination, don't faze me. Their threat of homelessness, don't faze me. Their threat of false accusations, don't faze me. Ain't nothing that they can do is going to is going to create fear within me. It'll never happen. All right? And how I do it and how I show them, upload my videos. That's what I do. Doing all of that. She's doing all of that. And they'll do that from time to time. They'll get these nigga paying females, you know, because they think that, you know, I want women to bow in front of me. You know what I'm saying? Again, it is false narrative, lies, manipulation, because that is how they're dividing black men and black women. So when black men talk about women, black women don't compromise, or black women won't submit, they're thinking that, you know, like black women is going to be a slave. Let me tell you something. White women submit to their husband. They don't bow to their husband. They submit to their husband. Meaning that they understand that he's a man, and he's a masculine man, because that's what they want. They don't want feminine men, unlike, you know, European women. They've been conditioned to hate black male masculinity, but love white male masculinity, which is the most dangerous and most toxic type of masculinity. And that's what they believe. But again, it's just a belief, right? Because if you look at the reality of it, black women want to do what? To control black men, our bodies, you know, so that, you know, when they're dating other groups of men, you know, it's okay. But when they see a black man dating a white woman or Asian woman or Hispanic woman, they hate. Right? I keep saying it is because they're conditioned in their mind. They, you know, we are the only group of people in America that talks about our culture being, you know, particularly in America, toxic matriarchy. Now again, there's nothing wrong with having a matriarch society. Right? We see it happen. You go to other places in the world, and there's such things, and it works for them. All right? But they don't say that about the Hispanic community, except for when it comes to the family. They say she's the matriarch of the family. But in American society, in Britain society, when it comes to the black community, they say, well, black women are the matriarch of black society, right? Or I should say they practice matriarchy outside of the home, right? You know what I'm saying? But every other group practice masculinity out of the home. You guys have to understand, black people, we have to understand what's being done. And particularly, I said, our women are being so manipulated that they have reduced them to the Jezebel status that you read about in the Bible. And I always say, white people, when it comes to the relationship with other groups of people, right, they'll tell you who you are, and they will make you into who they say you are, so they can justify doing what they're doing. And it's sad because now they have Negropeans doing the exact same thing to each other. Wake up, my people. Talk to you guys in the next video.